many reports that there's been an increase in domestic violence during the COVID-19 pandemic. We've brought on two incredible people to talk about this. I'm going to start with you, Erin. If you could introduce yourself and your title and the organization, then I'll go to you, Jen, and then we'll dig into this topic.
Sure. Erin Jemison. I'm the Director of Public Policy at YWCA Utah. We provide direct services to survivors of domestic violence, and then my work is broader policy advocacy on behalf of Utah women and girls. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. Jen.
Yeah, I'm Jen Oxborough. I'm the Executive Director of the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition. So we provide statewide support to a team of domestic violence programs like the YWCA all across Utah. And we manage the statewide hotline, the link line, linking people back to services across the state as well. That's 1-800-897-LINK, L-I-N-K.
Erin, I want to start with you. How is this affecting women and folks in abusive relationships? I mean, these reports are the saddest thing ever. What's happening right now?
Yeah, I think we're actually seeing things change even by the week. So last week we had a full shelter. We still do, but we had not seen an uptick in calls. We now are seeing that uptick. We've almost doubled our crisis call volumes. So obviously we're really focused on the women and children who live here with us. We have 179 people living on our campus right now. The majority of them are children, of course, and keeping them safe, healthy, and sane, given that kids are here instead of in school, and how can we provide those support services. But then, yes, we're really concerned about the people we're now starting to hear more from, and those who we aren't hearing from, who might be feeling more isolated, whose abusers are really good at using anything they can as a tool of control. And this, unfortunately, this health crisis is a perfect way to control and isolate someone even further.
So Jen, what resources are available during this time?
Well, that's a really important thing for people to understand is even though we're starting to see shelter in place orders and the volume is going up and our programs are typically working very close to capacity, there are services available statewide. There are resources available statewide. Engaging in those services can be a tricky thing for people if they're being forced to stay at home with someone who's abusive or dangerous. So the way that we engage in resources can be a little tricky right now, but we want people to know that resources are available. UDVC represents 13 shelter-based programs across the state, but they do a lot more than shelter. Collectively, they provide about 100,000 nights of emergency shelter per year in Utah, which is amazing among 13 programs. They're all private nonprofit organizations, so there's a high degree of confidentiality provision afforded to them under the Violence Against Women Act. That's different than engaging with a system-based advocate, which can be scary. They do wonderful work too, and we love our system-based advocates that work within law enforcement agencies and prosecutors' offices, but it can be difficult to reach out to law enforcement when the person that's being abusive or controlling is a part of your family. So if you're not sure what to do, the best thing that I recommend is if you can safely go online to udvc.org, you can find the different resources that are available in your community, or you can call us for free confidentially at 1-800-897-LINK and talk to a professionally trained victim advocate that has 40 plus hours of extensive training. We're available in over 100 different languages, and we'll help you figure out how to start a conversation with someone who might be at risk and help them know what resources are available, or we'll link you directly to the resources that are most relevant and could improve safety for you within your community. So 1-800-897-LINK or udvc.org.
So 1-800-897-LINK, L-I-N-K, right?
L-I-N-K, yes, 5465.
Perfect. Erin, how can the community help here? Is there anything that the community can do to watch out for, this?
For sure. I think if you have any suspicion that someone has been in a potentially controlling relationship, even if you're not sure if it's has escalated to physical abuse. We know that emotional abuse is often the first step, and actually can be the most damaging, even though it's invisible to those of us outside of the relationship. Reach out to that person, check in. I think it's not, you don't need to confront them. You don't need to ask, is the abuse getting worse and you need to get out of there. I think it's more helpful to say, I'm worried about your safety. Are you safe? Please know that I'm here. You can call anytime. I mean, a lot of those tools haven't changed actually during this pandemic, that we would have always told people to reach out to someone that they might be concerned about. Or if you suddenly notice someone, it seems more isolated, or you're not hearing from them, we would have always said to pick up the phone or send a text or try and connect with them. And I think maybe it's a little more difficult right now to tell if they're truly more isolated or just following the public health orders. But I would say that it never hurts to just ask someone how they're doing and if they're feeling safe. And I think the hardest thing for friends and family members or neighbors, whoever, the hardest thing to do is to keep being there for that person, even if you see them kind of returning back to an unhealthy or unsafe situation. But it's also the most important thing that you can do. Not judge them for staying, not badmouth the abuser. I like to say it's really important, because all that will do is push the person away from speaking to you when they need help. So just being that kind of calm, steady, unconditional supporter of someone is the most important thing to do right now, or anytime.
Jen, how bad do you think this problem is currently?
You know, we heard from law enforcement agencies in Salt Lake County in particular, and some of our lethality assessment protocol law enforcement agencies across the state, that they were seeing an increase of anywhere from 30 to 40% in domestic violence responses within the first couple of weeks of the COVID protocols going into place. The programs that we represent collectively across the state are reporting anywhere from a 50 to 60% increase in the demand for their services. So it's significant. But what that tells me is that people are reaching out for help, and that people are trying to find resources and connect with better options for safety for their families and their situations. So I'm really proud of our programs for continuing to show up, and I'm really proud of people. It takes a lot of courage to come forward because of a lot of the things that Erin just explained, to seek help. We know that when people who are experiencing the most lethal forms of domestic violence, and Utah has a significant domestic violence homicide rate. So we think about this a lot. We know that when people who are at the greatest risk of domestic violence homicide engage with a professional victim advocate, that their risk of reassault goes down by as much as 65%. So getting involved and working with someone who's highly trained in the nuances and the dynamics of domestic violence and abuse can really save lives and can help provide some intervention early on before things turn really deadly. So we hope that people will continue to reach out. It's also a really difficult time right now to navigate some court processes, like obtaining a protective order or navigating a complex divorce or custody situation. And legal advocates remain available and willing to help people in a variety of different ways, oftentimes for free or at an adjusted rate. And so you can gain access to those legal advocacy services through the link line as well. No matter where you are in the state, we can connect you with legal representatives that will help you navigate the complexities of those domestic violence situations as well.
And Erin, it seems like the worst cocktail mix ever with, as basically like a stay-at-home order. Everyone's like, the recommendation is stay home, which is really difficult when you're in an abusive relationship with someone. And then you add on to that economic anxiety and people getting laid off and, losing their jobs or not knowing if they're going to have a job. Do we normally see an increase in domestic violence around economic anxiety? Oh, we have you muted, Erin. Hang on one second. Let's get Erin off mute here. There you go.
Yay, there I am. I'm glad you bring this up. I always talk about the fact that financial stress and being able to make ends meet is a huge, I would say, number one reason that people stay in abusive relationships, and those risks are just increasing right now. I think it's really important to distinguish between economic stress kind of causing an uptick in violence. It doesn't cause the abuse. There are many people who lose jobs, face economic stress, are in economic trouble of some kind, and are not abusive to their partner or their family members. I think what we do see, though, in